Hello, today we're going to break down the September 30th Project Zomboid Thursdoid to see some of the new things IndieStone has dropped as well as some of the things they are working on as we approach Build 42. We'll start with the biggest story, or at least the one that everyone seems to be talking about. Basements are going to be a thing in the Knox County universe. To do this, IndieStone goes into the tech behind it by explaining improvements that are coming in terms of rendering chunks on the map, which anyone who has played Zomboid in any of the maps with lots of tall buildings can tell you the lag associated with it, especially in highly populated zombie areas, can be, well, they can be pretty laggy. So how are they doing this? Let me preface all this tech talk by saying that I'm just a dumb monkey talking tech in a nerd's world, so forgive me if I'm generalizing, and I'm sure there are some of you who will be more than happy to correct any misspoken statements by me in the comments below. But referencing a previous Thursdoid into the tech of this from February 3rd of this year, they talk about figuring out how to fully incorporate more GPU power to do more heavy lifting when it comes to rendering all the things in the world, especially it being fully zoomed out. As many of you already know, Project Zomboid leans heavily on the CPU for rendering currently. They say, ironically, the fact that it's a simpler looking 2D game is what works against using a lot of power of the GPU to render a map fast. The result is large FPS drops. Well, judging from the new Thursdoid, it appears that IndieStone has figured it out, or in the very least are confident enough to post that they are headed in the right direction. The second part of the basement conundrum, besides the performance problem, has been how to tell the level that a player is on if that level is negative. The reason why this is important to basements in particular is that variable height chunks a player standing in a basement would generate negative coordinates. This is what they go on to say. We discussed that we'd fix the many areas of the code base that use static casts around the player's position to determine what chunk or time they were on using math.floors instead. This method allows for negative coordinates to work where the prior calculations would have failed if the player was on a tile with negative coordinates. Essentially, this leads us to basements in Knox County. And not only that, basements that are random house-wise in every playthrough. I think I'm reading that right. If I'm not, someone comment. I am left-handed, you know. My brain sometimes works against my common sense. They say, the plan we have for basements and sublevels is an interesting one. It will provide a lot more replayability for the game map. Essentially, in 42, we can list positions on the map that have the space for a basement and can be allocated to the potential to have one. However, no basements are placed with the map itself. This means that despite the map being static, any areas with basements will yield surprises in every playthrough. They go on to say, we're also considering the possibility of other subsurface structures, such as sewers and locations like Louisville. You know, my friend Coco will be pleased. This is not dropping anytime soon, as Build 42 appears to be a lot further away than most of us anticipate. I say this because just the other day, someone in my live stream was predicting that Build 42 would be IndieStone's Christmas present this year. This Thursdoid, though, they seem to be throwing cold water on that idea when they said, and I quote, "It will appear a sizable amount of time after Build 41 is fully wrapped." In case you don't know, Build 41 is not fully wrapped yet, and sizable amount of time is pretty cryptic in terms of timeline. But I'm guessing probably late next year if I was going to put any money on it. IndieStone has surprised me in the past, though. In the meantime, for those of you wanting basements, as we like to say, there's a mod for that. You can get your fix of basements while you're waiting with the mod, ironically called Basements. Another big drop, and I personally think this is a bigger drop than the basements announcement, was lighting improvements coming to Build 42. IndieStone has been steadily making the game more and more, I don't know, shall we say stressful environment-wise, and I think that the improvements to lighting will just add to the suspense in-game. The idea of seeing light shining through a doorway or a window will lend itself to a more believable experience, and I'm genuinely excited to see the slight glow of an exit sign in a dark hallway as I'm running through a building being chased by zombies. To illustrate the difference, I put the two videos next to each other with their video and the lighting, and the video with current lighting in this build. In other news, for those using Linux servers, IndieStone released a fix in the unstable branch of the game. The release of version 41.77 is aimed at fixing the crashes associated with Linux servers, and according to them, they think they may have fixed it. I'm not personally familiar with this stuff and how widespread this is, but I do rent 2 servers, which I'm guessing aren't Linux-based, as my servers haven't been affected. I'd love to hear if any of you guys run Linux servers, though, what the difference is in terms of performance in the comments below. If anyone can explain it to me like I'm 5, that is, or even better yet, like I'm 2. And finally, IndieStone is wrapping up what will be the final patch to Build 41 with a pretty sizable change list. Some of the more notable changes to me include adding a bunch of sandbox options, including the ability to remove survivor vehicles and the ability to remove the tooltip warning for tainted water, disabling fake dead reanimations, which was a recent addition to the Knox County world, by the way, adding the ability to randomize zombie sandbox options for memory, sight, and hearing, adding loot rarity setting, incredibly rare, and none to the list, which means I may finally find a hardcore setting good enough to appease my masochist ways without resorting to mods. I'll leave a link to the change list and the Thursdoid in the description below for anyone who may be interested, because the change list is pretty long and is only right to show my sources, right? Well, that's pretty much a wrap on the latest Project Zomboid news. I'm Drunkonlife. Leave a thumbs up on your way out. And if this sort of stuff interests you, consider subscribing to the channel for more Project Zomboid news, updates, and all that. And by the way, I do stream. You can always come visit me there and chat it up with me. Until next time, goodbye.